Welcome to the Smart Property Investment Show with your host, Phil Tarrant.
Welcome to the show, guys. Thanks for joining us once again to the Smart Property Investment Show. We're going to mix it up a little bit today, do something a bit different. Normally, this is an opportunity for me to get investors in and talk about their journey in buying property. And the show's been very popular. And what I wanted to do is to go back to our roots a little bit. And one of the original reasons why we created Smart Property Investment was to essentially give a real life view on how you can invest in property and how you can be successful. I'm an editor, I'm a journo, that's what I do. And when we launched Smart Property Investment, I guess one of the basic things behind it was that I thought there's quite a lot of bullshit in the marketplace around all the stuff you read in books and magazines on how people become instant millionaires investing in property in the right way. And it just smelled a bit off to me. And, we wanted to create something through Smart Property Investment, which was real world. And that was, here's how you can invest in property. There's no tricks. There's no magic stuff that you need to, there's some magic beans to put in the ground. It's growing you a massive beanstalk. It's about good, common sense, basic stuff. So one of the premises of Smart Property Investment was to grow our own portfolio and show our readers and our listeners about how it's done. I've always had property flowing through my blood. I've loved property ever since I started working as a journo. I worked out pretty quickly being a journo, you're not going to make a lot of money quickly. So I quickly moved into running a media business, which has been very good. But for us, growing our portfolio and being very public about it has been one of the mainstays of Smart Property Investment. So what I've done today is that rather than bring someone in and ask them questions, I've put two guys in here who have been instrumental to creating our portfolio. I've got Victor Kumar and Steve Waters from the Right Property Group, who were one of the early relationships that we established in creating our property portfolio. And these guys have essentially acted as our buyer's agent across all our properties that we've purchased. So welcome to the show, guys.
Hi, mate. Good to be here.
Thanks, Phil.
So I've told these guys to say as it is. So I very much want this podcast to be just a bit of a review of our portfolio right now, where we're tracking, how we're tracking. I've been very open about a lot of the mistakes that we've made along the way in building our portfolio. And fortunately, a lot of our mistakes haven't been financial mistakes. They've been more so, not being prepared, not getting all our ducks in a line to buy our next property. So we've probably missed out on some properties that we could have purchased. But by and large, we've created a pretty nice portfolio here, haven't we, guys?
I think it's pretty awesome, yeah.
Yeah. So our first property that we purchased was in October 2011, which was in October 2011 in North St Mary's. So the guys here at the Right Property Group got us into Western Sydney at a time where it was going through a rapid period of growth, and that's it's still a strong market out there, and we've done very well out of it. But Western Sydney's pretty much, you guys aren't buying out there at the moment, are you?
Oh, we haven't bought there probably in 12 months now, maybe even a little bit longer. But going back to 2011, it was, in our opinion, the place to be, and that's why, in your particular case with your portfolio, I think the first 4 or 5 properties were all around that Western Sydney area, taking advantage of the growth spurt that it was going to happen.
We talk a lot about buyer's agents on the show, and there's two opinions with buyer's agents. I'm sure you guys hear it all the time. That is, why would you use a buyer's agent when you can do it yourself? Buyer's agents are an unnecessary cost. They can do everything that you can do. The other side of the equation is that a buyer's agent is a real enabler for building wealth and growing wealth through property quickly. Victor, where do you sit, mate? I know, you see a lot of value in buyer's agent because you run a buyer's agency business, but looking at both sides of the coins, they both have merits, don't they?
Absolutely, they do. And for someone that does have the time or the propensity to actually research the market to death, you wouldn't really need a buyer's agent. But a buyer's agent brings several things to the plate. And the first thing that we need to understand is that there are several types of buyer's agents. One that aligns themselves with a developer, could call themselves a buyer's agent. Another that is an order taker that basically comes out and says, okay, give me instructions as to what you want and I'll go and find it. What we do different, of course, is we strategize. We put a strategy in place first, and then we go out and hunt the appropriate property or properties in the right market. And that's what you need is, as an example, with the Southwest Sydney purchases and the New South Wales purchases, that was at a time when the market was poised for a strong upward swing. which was something that we identified with our research. And then, of course, as Steve said, we moved out of that market about 18 months ago into different markets in different states to further diversify the portfolio. So a buyer's agent, a good buyer's agent, is someone that is worth their weight in gold. But again, it comes back to personal preferences and how busy you are, and how hungry you are to reach your goal.
So my experience in investing in property is that where my portfolio is today and where it would be if I weren't using a buyer's agent are two very different things. And I'll run through some quick numbers just so our readers can get a bit of an update on where our portfolio sits. So as I mentioned, we started investing in October 2011. We now have 11 properties in our portfolio. Total value of our portfolio is, and I've got a really small printed out sheet here, but total value is 5.145 million, and the debt on that portfolio is 3.265 million. So we're sitting there at the moment with total equity of 1.876 million and an LVR which sits at 63%. So that's not a bad little portfolio, as you said. How's that look compared to a lot of your other clients? Is that standard?
It's a really hard question. I think it really depends on how long they've been in the market for.
Yeah.
So, looking at some of our clients that started investing 10 years ago, they may be in a better LVR or loan to value ratio position. But for those who started around the same time, absolutely, it's a pretty standard position, albeit if they've tried to perpetuate their portfolio. So they've gone in and tapped into some equity, and now they're into stage 2 of the portfolio, unlike yourself, who perhaps is in the consolidation phase due to particular circumstances.
We haven't bought a investment property since December 2014. So essentially, that's 3 years we're buying.
It's been and that's rapid accumulation in anyone's terms.
It is, and we haven't deliberately not been buying properties right now. It's I look at that equity position and the LVR position is 63%, and I've got a reasonable appetite for risk, and a lot of people think 63%. Well, that's a lot of debt, as a ratio of the total value. But I think 63% is pretty low, and I should be buying.
Yeah, some people would probably say we should gear that up to 90% if you could. I mean, to each their own and their own risk profile, I suppose.
In building our portfolio, there's been three, I guess, key groups of people, and a lot of people refer this as your A team, or there's a whole bunch of other things that people call it. But essentially, buyer's agent, mortgage broker, and accountant. The three guys I use, so the Right Property Group is our buyer's agent. We've got a very good accountant and a broker, Ross, from Aussie Parramatta, and they work really closely. You guys have got a good relationship.
Yes, we do.
You see that across other clients as well. They use the same team.
Yeah,
right?
I think the team it's an important part of the whole process for you. It'll slow growth for you, or slow your opportunities, or it'll create the opportunities for you. But the team runs deeper than that. It's not just about your buyer's agent, or your strategist, your accountant, your financier. It runs deep in terms of your pest and building inspectors, your solicitors, your conveyancers, your property managers, your tradesmen. Everything has a unique place within your so-called team.
Yeah. So where we are right now, we haven't bought since December 14, and I want this podcast to be a little bit about, some of the handbrakes in our property portfolio. And what I always say, I was chatting with a bloke the other day, he's going, why haven't you bought for some time? And I went, well, busy doing other stuff. We've acquired a couple of things in our business, and, I'm so busy doing other things that I know it's a good portfolio, and the portfolio is going up in value. So if I'm not messing around with it every single day, every single month, it's okay. As long as I'm paying the bills.
Yeah.
The thing's going up in value. My LVR position's getting stronger, et cetera, et cetera. It's not going to hurt me if I don't do anything with my portfolio. But that said, I would have liked to bought some properties last year and even into this year. And one of the reasons why we haven't done that is that I haven't got a pre-approval yet from our mortgage broker.
No,
so I haven't given a documentation yet for him to go to the banks to do it.
So blame it on Ross then.
Yeah,
right?
I'm going to blame Ross. But, that guy chases me pretty much every week saying, Phil, what are you doing, mate? He's very proactive. And I've told Ross to be proactive. But the thing is that you guys are hamstrung. You can't go out there and find me properties not knowing that I've got a pre-approval, I'm ready to play.
Absolutely. And in today's market especially, if we had gone back, say, 2 years prior to when you started purchasing, although finance was very, very important, we could probably structure a deal or a settlement period with longer terms and conditions to allow the client to be able to get the finance. But in today's market, where it's very, very buoyant, finance is an absolute must, like a full pre-approval subject to valuation. We just can't take those risks.
That's really good counsel. People shouldn't be out there buying property if they haven't got a pre-approval. They're
Never.
Just mad.
Never. Yeah.
And even the pre-approval, it's conditional. If you
Yeah.
buy a place that's overvalued and the bank says, hang on a second, I'm not giving you 90% on this, you've paid too much for it. People get hurt, right?
And we're starting to see that in some of the off-the-plan developments that are completing, or construction's complete, and so the valuers are walking in, and the valuers are a little bit perhaps timid about what the future holds, especially in areas close to CBDs where there might be an oversupply. So their valuations perhaps aren't stacking up to what the client, or not our clients, but anyway, but towards the purchaser thought. And you couple that together with recent lending changes, it's a pretty dangerous situation to be in.
Yeah. So with our portfolio, we're in an interesting position because serviceability is not a problem.
Yep.
There's plenty of fat in there. So looking at the numbers here, to refinance a whole portfolio at 90%, I can extract $1.3 million. If I wanted to refinance at 80%, I can extract $850K. And if I wanted to refinance the lot at 70%, I could pull out $336,000. So
Big numbers.
they're big numbers, and
Yeah.
I can do a fair bit of damage with 300 odd K, right?
Absolutely. And as your advisor would probably say, let's not go to 90%. Let's leave a little bit more fat in it than that in terms of equity. Somewhere between that 70 and 80% in your situation is going to be certainly enough capital to go and start stage 2 of the portfolio.
So a lot of these properties here, Steve, the ones that we purchased earlier on, so North St Mary's, a couple in Mount Druitt, Southwest Sydney, Macawba, down in Ambervale, which you sort of located for us, Victor, Cambridge Park. Then we shifted up to Berkeley Vale. Then we bought more of a blue chip sort of property in Mount Ku-ring-gai. All those properties we've refinanced once, and we've extracted equity out of it to finance the sub properties. Then after that, we've moved interstate. We went to up in Logan in Queensland, Springfield. Then we went down to Melbourne, picked up one in Glenroy, and then we've moved down to Port Kembla.
Yeah.
So a lot of the fat in our portfolio from LVR position now are in that back end, because they've only just the establishment costs and the original buying of the property. We haven't extracted any equity out of those yet. So
Which is an awesome position.
But it's
Yeah.
great position
Yeah.
to be in. The frustration I have, and this is a conversation I'd have with you guys on air or not on air, and the same with our accountant and broker, is that it's incumbent on me to sort this out. This is not, you guys can only do so much.
Ultimately, it's always going to be up to you, and time gets in the way, life gets in the way, priorities get in the way.
What I've been working on here is ways in which that I can be more effective in managing my portfolio. I obviously speak about it a lot on these podcasts, and guys like you come in and we sort of talk about property investing and what other people are doing, but I need personally to find the time, realistic amount of time, to actually sit there and actually get my shit in order to start investing again. And fortunately, I've got someone here now who's helping me manage this on a day-to-day basis, so I can concentrate what I do, and that is building a business. And I know that I've got the bandwidth to get stuff done. So for me to get to the next step and start purchasing again, I need to sort out statements for my broker and rental stuff and all that.
And it's a big job.
It's a big job.
Yeah, when you get to a portfolio of anything over 3 or 4 properties, paperwork is huge, and so is the time commitment. I think to move forward from there and organising your loan approvals and your property managements and your continual review of your statements and expenditure and what have you. So the amount of time necessary is something that you don't have at this point in time, and you're not any different than most people. We all struggle with time, to give us enough time, I suppose, to move forward. And
how do you guys
carry forward?
You both got individually quite significant property portfolios, bigger than mine, and you guys are in the game, right? You do this all day, every day. You speak to investors. You help guys like me out create wealth through property. Victor, mate, how do you find the time to? Yeah, you're probably looking at me going, mate, you're whinging, Phil. What's your problem? Just sort it out. It's not hard. It's not hard. And you'd be saying in the context of, some of the properties I've missed out on where you guys have presented some crackers to me and that need quick decisions, and I've gone, oh, sorry guys. Yeah. How do you do it?
Look, we are all guilty of procrastination at some point in time. Procrastination in the sense of, not being prepared. What I do in my portfolio is, every Sunday I sit down and actually review.
Do you actually do that?
I actually do that with my wife, and it's,
that's how they spend their Sundays, right?
it's the highlight of
He needs to get out a little often. Hey?
I know. Since we actually started doing that, I found that my portfolio actually moved forward a lot more rapidly than what it was before. So it's
So do you
just
choose a time? Do you
I
go
choose a time,
between
yeah.
like 10 and 1, we're going to sit there and
So
do it? Or whatever?
every Sunday 7 p.m. And it's only, some weeks it's only 5 minutes. Other weeks it's, half an hour of discussing what's going to happen next week and what we need to tweak and all that sort of stuff. But once you get out of that habit, it's amazing how many weeks you quickly lose without realizing that you actually haven't had a look at your portfolio for a while.
But who does all the messing around with it, like making sure things are saved properly?
I don't. I get a full-time person, full-time in the sense that she works 4 hours a day looking after my portfolio.
That's quite a big commitment.
Yeah.
You're trying to grow your portfolio, like
Yes.
I'm always trying to grow my portfolio. You've been probably a lot more active than I've been over the last sort of year or so. But that person's time, is that mainly sort of admin stuff, or is it sorting out with tenants not doing this or renovations over here, or is just everything? Do they just sort of...
So it is everything. So rather than me then chasing the property manager for quotes or alternative quotes for, as an example, today I had a property manager email me about a fence on one of my properties. The neighbours put in a quote saying you got to pay half. I've just simply flicked it across to her, and she's now going to get alternative quotes to make sure that I'm not paying unnecessarily more than what I should.
You hate paying unnecessarily more than what you should.
I'm
be, don't
Indian
you?
heritage, mate. What do you think?
That's a really good point. Like for any purchase, sort of, if you got a leak in tap and it needs to get fixed quickly, when that happens to us, I'll go, look, if it's less than $150, just do it. If it's more than that, let me know. So you need to sort of create your own parameters and stuff, don't you?
That's
to be
right,
able
yes.
to free yourself up to concentrate on the good stuff and let the administrative, nuts and bolts property management stuff to get just sorted out
Yeah,
without too much
absolutely.
time.
I remember the old adage, penny wise, pound foolish, and that holds true in property as well, because you can't sweat the small stuff.
Are you the same? Do you sit there on a Sunday night?
No, I don't sit there every Sunday night. We're a little bit different, I suppose. The personal portfolio, we tend to do that on a monthly thing, and it's usually ad hoc, but it does happen. Having 4 small kids, that kind of takes priority to everything. But for the business portfolio, we're a little bit fortunate, I suppose, that we've got staff that can take care of that for us. Now, that's not coming from a bragging point of view; it's just out of necessity. The paperwork that you'd understand that you get on a monthly basis, the continual emails, the phone calls from the property manager, whatever it may be, is huge. And I think people, when they come into property investing, or they've gone to the seminars and they've heard that passive income from property, it's just not true. Property takes continual work, and so it should. It's a big ticket asset.
Well, it's
which
a
needs
business as well.
It's a business, yeah,
for everyone.
Yeah, absolutely.
which needs constant nurturing, and it needs to have its cost to operate and its income and its expenditure tweaked. Yeah, monthly, quarterly, yearly. Continual efforts is what's required.
And there's something really as simple as creating a separate email address for all of your property managers to correspond on.
But then you've got to check it, right?
Yes, of course.
This goes back to my original sort of comments around the genesis of smart property investment, and that is it's bloody hard graft, but if you get it right, you can be smart about it. Investing in property isn't you're going to be a millionaire overnight. And if you're investing in property that you're going to be a millionaire overnight in, is probably the sort of stuff that could potentially break you if it all goes wrong. And you guys must see stories like that all the time.
I suppose we're in an unfortunate situation when we see too many of those stories. If you go to a seminar or a meeting, or you sit in front of a potential advisor that says you're going to make a hell of a lot of money in a short period of time with investing, I'd suggest you run the other way as quick as you can. This is a medium to long-term outlook, and it can't be viewed any other way.
I go back to our portfolio, and people always ask, because I talk about it, write about it, people always sort of want to discuss my portfolio with me, which I'm happy to do. And if you've got any questions, please email me, editor@smartpropertyinvestment.com.au. But there is nothing sexy about our portfolio. These properties, they're in Western, Southwest Sydney. A lot of them are just, one in particular in North America, it's just a 2-bedroom fibro house.
Yeah.
It's on the corner. There's nothing glamorous about it, but geez, it's a good little asset. That thing's nearly doubled in value in 4 years. The other stuff are just regular common and garden, brick veneer, standard suburban houses. They're not a fancy loft in Bondi Junction. And one of the things that I get a lot is that people say, oh, wow, all your properties, Phil, they're in these areas where it's not like the rich area of town,
Yeah.
It's out in the working class belt. And I'm the first to say it's an absolutely brilliant place to be investing.
That's our strategy. That's what we specialise in, is in the more affordable areas. Now, our strategy and the way we go about creating portfolios isn't the only way. There's 100 different strategies you can entertain as an individual, but for us, we like those affordable corridors because it gives us multiple exit strategies should the world implode, and we got to look at it from a worst case scenario.
Yeah.
But what it also does is it gives us good cash flow, which is the ability to hold the property, and of course good growth. Now, you just said that North St Mary's has nearly doubled, if not doubled, in the space of 5 years or whatever it may be.
400 years.
Yeah, that's probably a once in a cycle occurrence. It's not something that everybody should expect, that they're going to go and buy a property and then it's going to double in that short period of time. However, what it's also done is given you the ability to be able to carry on life without having to live on 2-minute noodles to support your property portfolio because of lack of cash flow.
Mate, it's Heinz baked beans now. It's not black and gold anymore.
Not 2-minute noodles, upper class, you think.
but this is a really important point, Steve, and it goes back to my comments around, I haven't done much with our portfolio for a good year. We've been managing and keeping up with paying the bills and all that sort of stuff. We haven't proactively gone and bought anything. I'm not going to bed at night and the last thing I think about is how I'm going to pay all the mortgages on this property portfolio. And I don't think about it when I wake up in the morning. I'm more worried about where my podcast's sitting on the ranks of iTunes. So keep the reviews coming, guys, because it's really funny. But yeah, it's not an issue for me. I know it's a good, safe, solid portfolio that's doing what it should be doing, and that is it's sitting in the market and time it's taking its toll on it, and that is it's a positive uptick in terms of the valuations of the property, and the rents are helping to pay the mortgages.
Yeah, over a period of time, which has worked famously. Could you imagine, though, just breaking topic a little bit, but with the potential of a new election coming on and negative gearing being a hot subject, your particular portfolio is not going to have any real effects on it purely because of its cash flow position.
I'm not investing for a tax strategy, which you hear all the time.
Right?
And by the way, and these guys are probably a lot more qualified to talk about it than me, but I hear all the time people go, "Oh, Phil, I'm going to invest in these places because it's a tax strategy. I need to get tax deductions." And I go,
"It's crazy.
Listen to the podcast, mate, and get beyond that really quickly."
You can't run a wealth accumulation scheme in line with a tax minimization scheme.
Yeah. It's ridiculous. So yeah, look, I can buttress any changes to negative gearing. I don't personally. It's not going to happen.
No.
I don't think it's going to happen.
I'm not really concerned if it does or doesn't. I think, and this is just purely my thoughts on it, and I might be wrong, but I don't think I am. If they do abolish negative gearing, I think it's just going to create opportunity within the market for perhaps in inverted commas sophisticated investor. But the sad part about it is there's going to be a lot of hurt out there as well.
There is. Look, we're running out of time, guys, in terms of chatting about our portfolio, but I'm going to do this more often. I want to try and do this on a quarterly basis just to let our listeners know where we're sitting. So to summarise, I haven't been doing much for a year or so. I haven't bought. Our property's been going up in value. Got a great LVR position. The equity position's great. I'm happy with it. I hope, and we should be within the next time we catch up in 3 months' time, that we're back in the game and buying. So hopefully we can have a conversation around what we've bought.
Well, there's a public statement.
What we've bought and why we've bought it and what you guys have done about that. So our strategy moving forward is it's got to be consistent to what we've always done, and that is identifying under market value properties in areas which are going to provide growth and good cash flow.
Absolutely.
And it's simple. And that's not in the western suburbs of Sydney anymore. It's not in southwest Sydney anymore, but exactly the same strategy, and we'll just keep moving to where the opportunities in the markets are, and that's a really good summary of what we're doing.
Absolutely.
Yeah, watch this space, guys. Any questions, let me know. Editor at smartpropertyinvestment.com.au. But while we're chatting about questions, I thought, since I've got the guys in the show, we'll run through a couple of questions, and I haven't briefed them on it. So I might just throw it to you guys.
Do it.
So the first one, it says, hi team, I'm a fan of the Smart Property Investment Show. Brilliant. It sounds like I wrote this, and I wanted to ask a quick question. I'm a single 27-year-old male with $40,000 in savings. I'm looking at either buying a property on the Gold Coast, which I plan to live in for 1 year and then rent out and keep the property as my principal place of residence for 6 years, and thus obtain the benefit of an investment property, but then avoid capital gains when I look to sell it in brackets hypothetically 6 years' time. I work on the Gold Coast, hence the reason to buy there. I see the importance of a good buyer's agent. That's a perfect question for you guys.
I know, right?
As my goal is to build a solid property portfolio in the future. Would I be best going straight into a property investment that provides cash flow, or am I on the right track with my first property purchase on the Gold Coast? This subject may have been covered. If so, please point me in the right direction. We've probably covered it a couple of times, but number one, should you invest in the place that you live in and know? Two, should you invest in the Gold Coast? And it sounds like he just wants to hold the thing for a while, then flog it, which ain't a bad thing.
Look, but short of giving you any financial advice, not knowing your current circumstances.
Good disclaimer.
Very good disclaimer. I'm not a fan of perhaps that particular strategy, looking to get around capital gains tax if and when you should sell it, buying on the Gold Coast just because you live there and then perhaps renting it out later on. I'd be looking more about the numbers. If we talk about the Gold Coast in particular, there may or may not be an opportunity for you to rent a better place on the Gold Coast, I should say, and actually put your dollars elsewhere that will work harder for you with a better upside in terms of growth and cash flow. My fear with the Gold Coast, and I know there is a few people talking highly of it in terms of the potential growth, but my fear with the Gold Coast is, although you may make some money in a short period of time, traditionally the Gold Coast is a roller coaster ride. It's up, it's down, it's sideways, and there's a long time in between drinks. Oversupply has only just been absorbed on the Gold Coast, but they're building a hell of a lot as well. So you're going to get into that oversupply situation again very, very quickly. If you were absolute hell-bent, however, buying on the Gold Coast, make sure you make your money on the way in and buy well below market value in a complex that perhaps doesn't have the lifts, the elevators, the heated swimming pools, the saunas and high body corporate fees, because at the end of the day, that's actually going to erode the cash flow, any potential cash flow that you have, or just your living cost is going to go through the roof.
Victor?
I agree with Steve. Certainly not in the high rises in Gold Coast. I think perhaps another way of looking at it is that you need to look at where you want to be in 5 years' time. And if you focus on that, that'll give you the right strategy, whether it is to buy your unoccupied property right now and sell it down later, or is it, as Steve said, worthwhile looking at other pastures where your money will work harder.
Good. All right, I'll do one more question, and it's a bit different. It's not about advice on building a portfolio. It's about advice in getting a job in property. Dear Phil, I'm not sure if you can help me out or not, but I'm looking for some advice on starting the career in the property industry. I am a property investor myself with one property so far and the intention to build my own portfolio over time. During my time researching and learning about property, I've discovered how much I enjoy it. I've had a small exposure to property in my current job and would like to move into a dedicated property role/career. I'm interested in property analysis, investment, advice, development, brackets less sales and more fundamentals-based role. I would like some advice on how to position myself to commence that career. Should I take the formal education? What sort of jobs should I be looking to land? I'm wanting to avoid jobs with real estate agencies, but not sure what other entry-level positions would set myself up into future opportunities. You guys must hear there's a lot of people that, buy a couple of investment properties and go, I really like a job in property investment.
All the time.
So what's your advice on this one?
We're hiring.
You guys a call?
Yeah, we're hiring.
Hang on, that could be our first advertisement on
all jokes aside, we are hiring. Look, I think follow your passion. If property is going to be that because you enjoy it, then totally immerse yourself into it. I know I did. I literally gave away the farm to immerse myself into it, every facet I could to become a better investor at the end of the day, and the business was born really as a result of that, and Vic's the same. Find out what you really want to do. If you're not a salesperson and it's just not in your DNA, don't become a sales agent. And obviously we're biased for that, become a buyer's agent.
Yeah.
But learn everything that you can about it. We've had some clients that just really want to immerse themselves that much, not because they want to work within the industry, but they want to understand it. They've gone and done the real estate courses that are available through TAFE and what have you, just to know every little fundamental and every trick and tip. It's all going to add up to being a better investor at the end of the day. But if you truly want to become in the industry, or get involved in the industry, find out what you want to do. Even if you've got to take a pay cut to get in and get a leg in the door, because it can be a closed industry in certain facets. Are pretty closed, and it's hard to get into that circle. I don't know where you're based, but certainly get in touch with us.
That's Luke. So Luke, I'm sure you're listening. Contact me, editor at smartproinvestment.com.au. I'll pass you on to the guys. I think you're doing the right thing. Listen to the Smart Property Investment Show. It's where you can get all the information you need to know about.
All the right information, right?
But you, Victor, you started off as a property investor and then you created the career in property. So not dissimilar from Luke. Mm-hmm. You had a passion for it. You worked out you're good at it, and then you evolved that into a career. So what would you say? Just keep doing what you're doing.
Yeah, absolutely. Keep doing what you're doing. But you need to also sort out exactly what you're after. So if you're after furthering your portfolio in the immediate term, if you're changing careers, they'll put a hiatus in it pretty much straight away, because you won't be able to qualify for a loan for, depending on how your pay structure is, at least 3 to 6 months, and sometimes longer as well if you're going down the route of being self-employed. So you need to think it through as well. There's a lot of people that get come in with rose-colored glasses into the industry, and they don't last that long because they haven't actually thought it through. So my recommendation is to think it through first. But certainly echoing Steve, find someone that can give you a leg up in the industry.
So what would be the career path for a like a buyer's agent? So just say someone kicked off with you guys and they were a bit green, and Luke, that's not a go at you, mate, but you sound a bit green. You've got a property under your belt, and you've identified that you love it, and you've identified that you need to put a lot more work into it. So if Luke wanted to commence as a buyer's agent, what's like an apprenticeship in that look like?
Same as really any other apprenticeship to begin with. You get all the crap jobs to begin with.
Yeah.
We're a little bit different, being that we're buyer's agents and strategists, and there's a lot of other good operators out there that really perhaps specialise in the data collection and the crunching of the numbers and the demographics, and which is all very important stuff, and we do it as well. But we're more of an on the ground truth kind of operation. So, if someone like Luke was to start with us, we'd have him on the ground actually collecting real data, from agents, from sellers, from buyers, anything that he can immerse himself into in terms of reality as opposed to just data and theoretical.
Yeah.
And he'd climb the ladder that way in terms of his ability. At the end of the day, buying property is all about relationships. It's about where you can source these properties from, and you need to create the relationships. The industry is a relationship-based industry. So that's where we'd probably start someone who was keen to get into it.
Would you suggest to Luke to go out there and visit as many open homes as possible and understand how to look at properties, understand what makes properties different from others, all that sort of basic stuff? That's fundamental stuff that you do every day, right? That for you is innate now. You wouldn't think about what you're doing.
It is, but people tend to talk about real estate and the markets. Understanding the market's probably the first key thing, because there's 20 different markets within the markets. There's residential real estate, there's industrial, there's office, commercial, so on and so forth. So when they talk about it as a whole. They don't identify which market. So perhaps doing those open homes once, if we're talking about residential, like we did, and still do, our buyers agents, they might get the raw data and they'll walk past 100 houses within 2 streets to make sure that they're comparing apples to apples. So just those real easy fundamental things to begin with, and sort of honing those skills from there.
That's good. Another point I'd make, Luke, is check out PIPA, which is the Property Investment Professionals of Australia. This is the peak body for property investment professionals. So jump on there, have a look at members, and give them a call.
Members in your area,
members in your area. They're buyers agents, they're data companies, they're mortgage brokers, they're real estate agencies, there's property agencies, and give them a call. It's a nice industry in that. If you're keen and hungry and you're looking for mentors, there's people out there who will sort of help you on your way. So
absolutely.
Yeah. Anyway, Luke, contact me, editor at smartpropertyinvestment.com.au, and anyone else, any questions on our portfolio, or if you've got questions in general that we can get different people to answer as they come on and guest, we're happy to receive them. As always, you can follow us on all the different Facebooks and Twitters and all those sort of things. Leave us more reviews on iTunes podcasts. It's good. We keep tracking up through the rankings. And if you'd like to follow me at Philip Tarrant on Twitter, you see what I'm up to and the sort of conversations I'm having. So Stephen Victor, thanks for joining us.
Thanks, mate.
Thank you.
Really good. We'll get you guys back again in
3 months, right?
3 months' time. And hopefully you've got me in the gear and doing stuff. So this is it. I'm making myself accountable, so I don't want to look like an idiot. So this is what motivates me, is deadlines, and I think investors need to work out their own way they tick and get it sorted out. So watch your space. Thanks for joining us. Bye-bye.